Hello, everybody. It's Renee, and I'm waiting for my girl Dee Marie to arrive. It looks like she is here. All right, we're gonna pop her up on the screen. Woo! Just in the nick of time.
Hello. Cutting your clothes.
Hi to all our wonderful friends out there. Today we are going to be talking about how to recreate your favorite Mexican recipes. And I certainly know that Mexican is one of my favorites. My grandma always had rice and beans on the stove, tortilla flour in the refrigerator. And when I walked in the door, she always said to me, Nene, would you like a burrito? Would you like, she'd whip out the fresh tortillas, throw them on the stove. So those are all old memories for me. If you are joining us live, please give us a hashtag live and tell us where you're from. And Dee, how's the weather in your neighborhood?
It gets a meh today. It's windy, kind of cool, kind of dreary, So
yeah, it's a little blah here in California. You can see out my window, some gray sky.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Dee and I are doing after next week's show, we leave for Seattle early on Thursday morning next week. And if you are in the Seattle area, we have about 3 spots left in our grocery tour and our cooking classes. So we're going to be doing a gummy making class and a cooking and baking with strange veggies class. If you are a clinic owner or a coach and you're going to be at the Seattle Super Weekend, we still have some room for you. Come join us. It's from 2 to 6 on Friday, April 12th. All right, Dee. Look, we got Suzanne. Hey, Suzanne. How are you?
Hi, Suzanne.
All right, so let's pop up these recipes and see what Dee has for us today.
All right, so there is literally so many recipes that we can do and that we're going to do, and so this is just a simple starting point. So when you get your weekly emails with the recipes in it on Monday, I'm going to give you a couple different versions of how you can make a faux tortilla, so a tortilla wrap. So of course we cannot have traditional corn on phase 1, but we can make you a pretty good wrap substitute, and then we can actually make you a really good crispy tortilla substitute. And we just crisp them up by shaping them and baking them a little bit longer. No different than a regular tortilla that's done into a taco shell or a taco salad boat. It's the same method. They take a good old tortilla and they add a little bit of more calories and fat to it and shape them and bake them to hold your delicious salad. So what you see in front of you is a crispy cereal tortilla, and it is simply water, a little bit of egg white, and your ground crispy cereal. And that is it. That is the base tortilla. So you could add spice to it. You can leave it just plain. I chose to not add any spices to it because I was using them in a variety of different recipes that already had a lot of different spices and texture. And a traditional corn tortilla, it's pretty blah. So if you just take a good old bite. So I'm kind of always amazed at how functional they really are, Renee. Like, you grew up with them, but did you have corn or did you have flour?
So my grandma made flour tortillas, and they are just like a lot of white flour. So
Yeah.
we would use corn tortillas when we would make tacos. So my mom would, but this is how we would prepare them. So my mom would buy the tortillas at the store, and then she would heat up some oil in a pan. And of course, then she would fry them in oil back and forth on either side. And then we would make our tacos from them. So think about that. And I can remember the first time, I started really kind of being aware of what things, how many calories things had in them. And I looked at the calorie count on a deep fried tortilla shell, because trust me, I used to eat my healthy taco salad in the tortilla shell that I would go to the restaurant and have. And I think it was like 1,200 calories for just the deep fried tortilla shell itself. So totally, doing away with any healthiness that I thought of.
Yeah.
So here we have it, and now you've shaped it into a bowl here, right?
Yeah. So once, so you can make them pan fried on top of the stove, or you can bake them on parchment paper and into your rounds. And if you want a soft wrap, well, then you're going to stop baking in about 8 to 10 minutes. At that point, though, if you want to turn it into a crispy shell, then you can place it into a little plate, just like the one pictured, or like an oven-safe cereal bowl, anything will work to shape them, and then just continue to bake it until it's nice and crispy. And actually, do you want to just talk about a tortilla for just another second? Because I want to actually show you something.
Okay, so if you guys want these recipes, all you have to do is type in the word newsletter. So if you are already subscribed to our newsletter, awesome. But if you have not subscribed, every Monday, so following this show, next Monday is when these recipes actually come out. So because Dee and I are a two-girl show, we can't get everything out on time. So we have to have a few days delay, you guys. So thanks for always being patient. But if you type in the word newsletter on your Facebook Messenger, you're going to get a link, and you have to say yes to that link, and then you click the link to subscribe to the newsletter. So don't forget that step. All right, show us what you're going to show us, Dee.
Okay. Can I just add to what you were just talking about?
Yeah.
Once you get that newsletter too, and you open it up, there's an option if you're on your computer, you can see all posts. So all the recipes that we've been posting, they're all in there. So if you want to go to one place to see and find them, then go there. Okay. So it's a little beaten up now. It's a little beaten up now because my family was really quite intrigued why I had this. But I was saving one for the show, and the reason why is that I want you to listen.
Oh, I love it.
Like, it's a real crispy shell, and you can, so if you didn't want to have it as a taco bowl, you could, have bust it up and have it as like a crouton or your salad toppings as well. So, and it's good. Wow.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's been good.
Here's the really, like, this is one of my favorite pictures that you took this week.
Yeah, it's so good. And so we're going to talk a little bit too, like in the picture. So that's the exact taco shell that I use, and you can eat that on its own. And that crispy cereal, and I'm going to be really honest with you, like by itself, like cereal, I'm not a cereal fan, but of course, making it into things is awesome. But even though like a plain wrap or a plain chip, they're not fabulous unless you do something to them. But the interesting thing is there's just that hint of flavor in that crispy cereal. And so it's like you can eat it like a cracker all on its own into pieces. So either as a topper or fill the salad. And in that salad, you'll see we're going to talk about this recipe too. That is a version of a red enchilada sauce. Which is really similar to a red taco sauce. And so instead of making a separate taco sauce, I'm just going to use that on my taco salad too. So So then the beautiful thing about that is when you have a really good flavorful sauce, then you're not missing cheese. There's so much flavor in that taco salad right there. So it's really good and appropriate for no matter what phase of a journey that you are on. If you're in one totally clean, doable version, you can protein split for your day. You can borrow a couple ounces of your ground meat, still have an IP pack as a bowl for phase 2. You can even add more protein because you're going to need to hit those values throughout your day. And then, of course, if you're in maintenance, there's a lot of low carb sites and recipes and things we can talk about for low carb, low sugar. But the IP protein packs, they're excellent low carb options for breads and wraps and exactly like the taco bowl pictured. So super low calorie and low carb bread option right there. So even in maintenance, a fantastic vehicle for delicious food. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, so we got a few hellos here. So CJ says, amazing Facebook Live, girls. Everybody likes some good old Mexican food. All right. Especially, I'm from California, so we got lots of that here. So I love that you made enchilada sauce. Now, I love some enchiladas. Again, I grew up vegetarian, so we made enchiladas, and we would make them, of course, mostly with cheese. But sometimes we would put in maybe some vegetarian protein into them, or, and we always used enchilada sauce out of a can. And again, we deep fried those tortillas before we wrapped them up and put them in a big casserole dish. So if any of this is familiar to you, and if you love Mexican food, give us a chili emoji. All right, you guys, a chili emoji.
Awesome.
Okay, Dee, tell us about this enchilada sauce.
So, I didn't know, I didn't grow up eating Mexican food ever. That's like a truth. However, enchilada sauce is really like so close to so many of the homemade tomato sauces or sauces that I've made for things like homemade chili or homemade spaghetti sauce or homemade lasagna. So it's so close, just with a few different twists. It is delicious. You can modify it for whatever phase of a journey you're in. Tomatoes are totally allowed on your journey. You just have to track them. And so you can use canned tomatoes if you want. And so you're just looking for whole tomatoes, no sugar added to the ingredients. On your label, you're going to see sugar because tomatoes naturally have sugar in them. So you always want to look at your ingredient list to assure that there is no added sugar. Anywho, so traditional enchilada sauce has quite a bit of oil in it, which you can reduce that or completely omit it because your flavor is coming from the spices and the tomatoes. And a lot of the recipes also use flour as a thickener. You may use a few tablespoons of some IP powder as a thickener if you wanted. However, it's fantastic without it, or you could do a tablespoon of just gelatin to thicken it as well if you were looking for a really thick sauce. I chose to use chicken broth in mine versus water. And I did a couple of versions, and I used a chili powder that had a little bit of heat in one batch, and then just a regular chili powder in another batch. And it is so good and so versatile. And it will keep in a jar, just pictured like that, all week. And so the recipe that I made makes 4 half-cup servings per batch, so really easy. So if you're cooking for a family and you want to use it all up in one meal, that is awesome. But if you're portioning it out for yourself, then it makes some lovely servings. So each serving would only count as 1/4 cup of tomatoes. So
that's awesome.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So now you made some enchiladas here.
Mm-hmm. the crazy thing about enchiladas is like really anything goes. Anything goes. So
Yeah.
vegetarian to cheese to bean and cheese to just what was so fun, and I know some of you might not get my like I think it's fun building and tasting recipes that I'm not a pro at, and like there are things that I feel so comfortable preparing and would tell you, I could do with my eyes closed and be pretty confident you would tell me that this tastes pretty good. But Mexican fare is a learning curve for me. I didn't grow up eating enchiladas, and I don't particularly care for the fast food type versions. Does that make sense? Like that's not super appealing to me. So studying and collecting traditional recipes and then, deciding what to do with them, it is so much fun. But to make an enchilada where you smother your tortilla in the red sauce, the red enchilada sauce, and then pick your fillings. Like I ate enchiladas for 3 days, everybody, because I kept, I had made a version of beans out of jicama because I can't have jicama. Some of them I put chayote in the center with my chicken. There in that picture, I baked it with some chayote on top after. And so not only did I smother the tortilla before I baked it, well, then I added some more on top. So it was really good. And the great thing, you can load them with veggies. So again, you don't have to fill them with any protein, but you can use a little bit. And so on these days, I had really hearty big lunches and still had hearty big suppers, just from the veggie use and how I used my packet. And and really sturdy. So you can make ahead and put them in the freezer, or you can, they'll be great for leftovers the next day too. So, and you know what, if you're a family, it's totally something you can make for your family and yourself at the same time. So if they can have, a traditional wrap, no big deal. You guys can all sit down and still have the same meal. So it's awesome.
So tell us, what was your favorite filling?
Well, I really liked the one that's pictured, and that's why I chose that picture. So I spiced up some jicama as if I was having like a spicy bean. I've had a spicy bean dip before, and I really enjoyed it. So I flavored I did use spices in the chili powders and a little bit of heat in the jicama, and pan fried them. And so I'm not going to give everything away on my jicama beans because we're going to use them in some more recipes. So we're going to do some rice and bean recipes with a faux bean. So I'm really good. But yeah, the one pictured. And so the jicama and the chicken, so good. And the cilantro. And I like cilantro. So I know that cilantro is a controversy. All on its own. For some, it tastes like soap. And that you're not imagining that is part of your genetic code. So it's how your taste buds work. However, when you are cooking and baking with it, it is a lot different, can take on different flavors than if you're having it fresh. So I would totally encourage that as well. So,
Yeah, absolutely. This is the end result here, and you can see how delicious it looks inside. So definitely, and for all of our vegetarians out there, this is a super recipe for you. And one of the things that I've just become the admin of the Ideal Protein for Vegetarians group. So if you like vegetarian recipes, I'll put a link to that over here so that you can join us over there. And it's really specifically for people that do really enjoy vegetarian proteins. All righty. This looks like something I might actually have on the beach.
Yes. So this was, I threw this up on my own personal page as well, not just on our recipe pages. And it didn't get good response. And I kind of laughed, and I know, because I used a Mexican word. And so for when I think, unless you are, you're not familiar with it, but I mean, I probably wouldn't even say it properly, but I mean, I am making, here is a version of actually a popsicle. So what they call them, polentas. Polentas? Paletas? Paletas? Paletas, sorry. Paletas. Sorry, too many words. Paletas.
Tortillas. We don't do the L's, so it's tortillas.
You're right. Tortillas and paleta. It was a Mexican popsicle, and oh my good grief, we could make popsicles every week with some fantastic ingredients. I think we could hit every culture, and that popsicle that you see before you right now was amazing on its own. So it has roasted chayote squash, it has a peach mango drink, it has some cayenne pepper, some fresh basil, and a little bit of maple syrup blended together. And I did some in popsicle molds and some as ice cubes. And so the first picture was them done as ice cubes, and then I poured lime bubbly water and a little bit of extra lime garnish on it, and it was amazing. So it was like a peach mango slush. So good. And the popsicles are amazing. And that, so the actual size of that popsicle is about 4 inches by 2 inches. And so one recipe made 10 of those. And wow. So that's, yeah, so just blended down. So I mean, they're not super thick, but still, so on a hot day or a snack attack day or whatever, however you want, you just enjoy, if you're just enjoying it, 1 cup of veggies and 1 unrestricted peach mango drink in a bottle. That's what that is. And it's, really good. That tiny bit of heat and basil and lime in there is really yummy. So really, really good. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be making many, many more versions of paletas for sure. Yeah.
Love it. And as summer comes, we always want lighter things. We want fruity flavors. And I think that that's one of the things that I hear, particularly during the summer, is my clients are always saying, I miss fruit. And so, starting to use some of these different vegetables that actually give off that fruit taste, like our rhubarb compote, the chayote apple recipe. This is a wonderful way to get your fruit recipes or your fruit feeling in and get that, and we have lots of fruity drinks in the Ideal Protein line. So the peach mango is one of my favorites, and it's almost like a superfood because it's really 20 grams of 90% absorbable protein in only 80 calories with 1 carbohydrate. Like you cannot, one thing about Ideal Protein is it's pharmaceutical grade protein. So you just can't find this, even at Whole Foods in a big tub or what have you. So really understanding the power of that highly absorbable protein powder that's filled with full amino acids. That's what makes the difference in your fat burn. So I know people like to try to do alternatives and things that are less expensive, but there's a reason that everything is packaged very specifically. There's a reason that it's in a pharmaceutical grade facility. And, there's a reason you get super good results when you do phase 1. So for those of you that are not on Ideal Protein, you can always reach out and find more information. But this is, we try to make a low carb cooking show that crosses all borders. All right, here, if you are interested in getting these recipes, make sure you type in newsletter. And if you are live, give us a hashtag live and tell us where you're from. Let's see. We got Renee here. She said, live, what a day. I love it.
Hi, Renee.
Okay, so let's see what we got next here. Okay, I always save my favorite picture for the last. And I love it, sure. When I was in Spain year before last with my kids, they actually make churros like live. And so, you know, you walk into this place and there is this deep, huge vat of oil and these big, long, like things that they're dipping in. And then they serve you these deep fried churros with basically, they call it hot chocolate, but it's more like hot chocolate pudding that you dip it in. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about this churro cake. It looks delish.
So simple, so simple. So the more homework. So my youngest was eating churros in Arizona for a couple of years, and she is a little bit obsessed with Arizona. She wants to move there and eat churros, and so it's actually that's
not going to end well.
So they apparently they taste better over there than they do at home. So of course, you know, when you really study the ingredients and how they're made, well, you know what, they're so addictive because it's that high carb flour and it's that oil and sugar. So it is the unhealthy fat and it's the sugar and the high carb that keep pulling you in to eat those delicious morsels. So this is like a churro, what we would call we call them like a dump cake, right? Like simple one pan or one bowl cakes. And this one is a vanilla drink mix and the crispy cereal. And so the powder from your crispy cereal and a vanilla drink mix is your cake batter with a few other simple ingredients. And you fold in the crispy cereal. No sweeteners required in your batter. And then your topping is pure cinnamon and some granulated sugar-free sweetener. You bake that up and it's pretty good. It's a pretty good substitute for the real thing. And it doesn't have, you have that great cinnamon taste, that hint of sweetness comes through. You're just missing all that unhealthy oil. And so, I missed Melissa's comment there. So yeah, so
she says she visited them in Barcelona, and yes, with that delicious chocolate pudding.
Oh, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a lovely experience.
There you go. So this one is healthy enough. You could have it's decadent enough for a dessert. I actually could picture this in maintenance with real whipping cream. Something like that would be fantastic. But you could have this for breakfast. You could have it for a snack. I mean, I would serve it as a cake for a celebration. Dessert, you could, you know, just by changing the shape or the presentation of it, but really, really yummy. You could, I mean, if you required a little bit more sugar, I'm sure you could drizzle some of the sugar-free maple syrup over it, but I was pleasantly surprised, and that churro taste comes through. So yeah, it was fun. It's a fun one. And I love cinnamon, and cinnamon is a fantastic spice to use. It's a healthy spice for you to use. And so that's probably my favorite thing about Mexican recipes is the very blatant and liberal use of amazing fresh ground spices. It's really where all the flavor is at and what really, you know, makes a recipe yay or nay. So they're great. I can't wait to do more. I already have more for you coming because there's just so many to do. So if you have a favorite one that you want to try to recreate for a phase 1, 2, or 3 friendly, please put it in the comments and I will have a look. Or because this is not my area of expertise, if you are the expert, share with us. Tell us, you know, how you make this amazing. We'd love you to post your recipes as well, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you love to bake, Dee's recipes is online at deesrecipes.com, and you can get 50 of Dee's recipes. And remember, most of them do have the ideal protein packets in them, but you can use other protein powders, so totally substitutable. And yummy, yummy cakes and cookies and muffins and breads and all the things that you're maybe missing a little bit of when you are in phase one. So Dee,
Yeah.
we once again have come to our 30 minutes always goes so quickly.
Yes.
Give us your top tips this week on, let me think, on just staying true to yourself.
You know, I was reading, it's funny that you say that because I was reading some comments on, you know, that staying on track is boring. It's boring and it's hard. And I was almost a little disheartened by it because, and I think as a coach we get to see and experience some different experiences on a personal level. Earlier this afternoon, you know, I had a client who, you know, she's in a stage of life where they go to lots of birthday parties and social gatherings, and it's just really so hard because, you know, there's always a special occasion, and that self-control of that commitment to herself has like really been a stumbling block. And this week she was clean, and she had gone to an anniversary party and 2 birthday parties, and you know, and was so excited because she was like, I was such a good girl. I did it. And just, you know, seeing that self-satisfaction of succeeding, like putting her mind to it and working really hard to make sure there was options and she was satisfied before going, you know, like we really had to have conversations about enjoy your friends, you know, enjoy the company, enjoy the social outing, and don't put so much focus on that food that then, you know, turns the rest of your week kind of into a little bit of a roller coaster. So get excited about fueling your body with really good food, planning and preparing. You know, on a personal note, of my own this week, they were traveling. They were away for the weekend and took in an NHL hockey game in Edmonton. And you know what? There was not one thing in Rogers Center that she could have. And she didn't have packets in her purse. She did go prepared, but, you know, forgot to take it to there. And, you know, she stuck it through. She enjoyed the game with my dad. And when they were done, then she went and you know, fed herself afterwards back in the hotel room. But that's commitment to yourself. That's sticking it through. And was it perfect? No. Was it the best situation? No, but being committed to oneself. So the win was definitely on the other side, not caving to that junky food. So those are just really, you know, exciting things. Like, so when we see that personal breakthrough, whether it's in ourselves or in the coaching room, and seeing what excites and motivates and you know, of course, how your clothes fit, the inches, all those types of things, you know, getting to healthy zones, and, you know, forget about picking a size or picking a pound, and just knowing, you know, especially this time of year, talking lots about acid refluxes, and my joints don't hurt, and it's so nice, and I'm walking and I'm, you know, feeling better. There's so much positive to focus on that it's really easy to have one negative thought and then just like keep going down there. And so, yeah. So how about you? What are your best tips for this time of the year?
Well, I really have been talking to a lot of clients that are really struggling with just making those commitments that make them feel better, and you know, again, just like you were talking about, is discovering that when you have when you get rid of those things that cause the acid reflux, cause the heartburn, cause the tummy aches, and when you are true to what you know actually makes you feel good,
Yeah.
it's great. But it's that long-term commitment and the ability to put food in its place. And its place is number 10, not number 1. So yeah, definitely some of those things. All right, everybody. We do have a couple of questions here. Renee wants to know, when baking those churros, could you use an air fryer instead of the oven?
Well, you could if you laid them on a piece of parchment paper in an air fryer. The thing, oh, sorry, the cake you mean, the churro cake. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's the same. Your air fryer is the same as a convection oven. So absolutely. You're just going to reduce your cooking time a little bit. It's going to cook faster in your air fryer, if that makes sense. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
I was going with the tortilla. Tortilla. I want to say tortilla.
Everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's been a great event, and part 2 of the Mexican recipes is coming next week. And if you're in Seattle, come see us next Friday on April 12th. All right, see you soon, and bye, Misty.
Bye, Renee. Have a great day.